Right now, somewhere along the US Gulf Coast, a secret factory is being built. It has no address, no signs, and no public record. But what's happening inside could change naval warfare forever. This place doesn't make planes or missiles. It builds warships. But with one shocking difference. They don't need any crew. No captain, no sailors, no living quarters. Just AI, weapons, and an engine. These are robot warships, and they can be built faster and cheaper than any fleet on Earth. For years, China has led the shipbuilding race, launching 232 times more naval tonnage than the United States. By 2030, China could have 425 warships. America might reach 300. On paper, the math looks hopeless, but this one hidden facility could change everything. Its mission: build AI-powered warships faster than China can react. Its name, Port Alpha, a new kind of shipyard that doesn't just build ships, it builds fleets overnight. And it all began with a former Navy SEAL who started building robot boats in his garage. Now, in 2025, his company is worth billions, and the first ghost ships are already ready to sail. In late 2024, defense experts started hearing rumors about a secret US Navy project called Port Alpha. There were no photos, no press releases, and no public records. Only quiet talk inside military circles. Port Alpha was not a normal shipyard. It was built to mass produce a new kind of warship, one that doesn't need any crew. These are unmanned ships run by AI that can patrol, fight, and survive without people on board. For the United States, this was a way to catch up with China's shipbuilding power. But the strange part? No one knows where Port Alpha is. Some believe it's somewhere along the Texas Gulf Coast. Others think it's hidden in Louisiana. The location is classified, completely secret. And that's for a reason. If a war breaks out, this shipyard would become a top target for any enemy strike. Even the name Port Alpha is a clue. It likely means this is only the first of several autonomous shipyards being planned. So yes, America is now building AI warships in a secret facility that no one can find. But where did this idea come from? It started with a former Navy SEAL, a garage, and an experiment that would shock the Pentagon. In 2022, a former Navy SEAL named Dino Mavroukas started a company in Texas called Saronic Technologies. He had one bold idea: to bring startup speed into military shipbuilding. Instead of waiting years for defense projects to move, he wanted to build fast, test fast, and improve fast. He believed the US Navy was falling behind because of slow, outdated systems. So he began building the first autonomous warship in the most unexpected place: his garage. That small boat was called Spyglass. It wasn't built by a giant defense contractor. It was built by a man with a laptop, tools, and a mission. Within 3 years, his company exploded in value. By 2025, Saronic Technologies was worth $4 billion and had raised over $600 million in funding. Big investors jumped in: Andreessen Horowitz, General Catalyst, 8VC, and Elad Gil, the same names that back Silicon Valley's biggest startups. Their goal was clear: to make unmanned warships the future of naval power. Saronic's motto said it all: startup cadence can produce useful combat power. It was a direct challenge to the slow-moving world of traditional defense giants. So why did Silicon Valley bet billions on one Navy SEAL's idea? Because the crisis he wanted to fix is far worse than most people realize, and the numbers are terrifying for America. Here's the real crisis the Pentagon doesn't like to talk about. Right now, China's Navy operates about 400 warships. The US Navy has just 295, and that number is shrinking. By 2030, China is projected to have 425 ships. The US, only 5 more than today. But the real danger isn't the ship count, it's shipbuilding speed. China's shipyards can build 232 times more naval tonnage than the United States. That means China can produce more new warships in a single year than the US can build in an entire decade. In fact, since World War II, America's entire shipbuilding industry hasn't matched 1 year of China's current output. Chinese shipyards are fast, cheap, and massive, while America's are slow, expensive, and aging. It's like trying to compete with a factory that builds 200 cars, while you can only make one. No matter how good your car is, you're outnumbered from the start. And here's the twist: China uses dual-use shipyards, where civilian infrastructure secretly helps build military ships. That gives Beijing a level of production power the US can't even approach. So yes, by every normal rule, America already lost the shipbuilding race. But Saronic Technologies had a different plan, a way to build warships faster, cheaper, and smarter, without the limits of traditional shipyards. And that's when things got wild. In 2022, Dino Mavroukas, a former Navy SEAL, started building something unusual in his garage in Texas. It wasn't a car. It wasn't a drone. It was a tiny warship. He called it Spyglass. It was only 6 feet long, could travel 30 nautical miles, reach speeds of 20 knots, and carry a 40-pound payload. It looked small, almost like a toy boat. But its mission was serious. Spyglass was built for harbor patrol and recon missions. Simple, low-risk operations. And it worked. The vessel could navigate, avoid obstacles, and complete tasks, all autonomously, without any human crew. That single success proved something huge, that AI-driven boats could really operate on their own. But Mavroukas wasn't thinking small. He imagined a fleet, hundreds of these autonomous vessels in different sizes, all working together. A swarm of smart ships that could patrol, scout, and even fight, faster and cheaper than any Navy on Earth. At first, traditional Navy officials laughed. How could a garage startup compete with Lockheed Martin or Huntington Ingalls? But Silicon Valley didn't laugh. Investors poured in millions, betting that Saronic Technologies could disrupt military shipbuilding forever. The garage test had proven the idea. Now came the real challenge, scaling a 6-foot prototype into a combat-ready fleet. And what they built next looked like science fiction come alive. Saronic Technologies didn't stop with the Spyglass. After proving that a small autonomous boat could work, the team began designing an entire family of robotic vessels. Each one was larger, faster, and built for tougher missions. Step 2. Cutlass, 14 feet long, a 300 nautical mile range, and a 200-pound payload. It could even deploy loitering munitions, acting as a mobile weapons platform. Step 3. Corsair, 24 feet, 1,000 plus nautical miles, 35 plus knots, and a 1,000-pound payload, made for deep-sea operations. Step 4. Mirage, 40 feet, 2,000 plus nautical miles, and a 2,000-pound payload, perfect for long patrols. Step 5. Cypher, 60 feet, 3,000 nautical miles, carrying up to 10,000 pounds and even standard 20-foot ISO containers. And finally, Step 6. Marauder, 150 feet long, 3,500 nautical miles, 18 knots, and a 40 metric ton payload. It could operate autonomously for over 30 days. A true AI warship. It's like building a toy car, then a sedan, then an SUV, and finally a semi-truck. Each one more capable than the last. The Marauder could even carry 2 40-foot containers or 4 20-foot containers, turning it into a floating cargo ship with weapons. Saronic had just designed a robot navy, on paper. But where would they build it at scale? Because in April 2025, they made a move that shocked the entire defense industry. Port Alpha isn't a normal shipyard. It's a modular manufacturing facility, more like a tech factory than a naval base. Traditional shipyards build one ship at a time, using thousands of workers and taking years to finish. Port Alpha does it differently. It uses AI-driven assembly lines where machines and algorithms build ships in sections. Fast, cheap, and precise. The goal? To produce up to 50 autonomous warships every year, far more than any traditional yard could manage. Each ship is built from modular parts. That means you can swap weapons, sensors, or payloads like Lego blocks. Need a patrol ship? Add radar and cameras. Need a strike vessel? Plug in missiles and fuel tanks. This system changes everything. It treats warships like software, not monuments. You can update, upgrade, and rebuild them on the fly. And because these ships have no human crew, they don't need beds, kitchens, or bathrooms. That space becomes room for weapons, fuel, and power. It's like comparing a Tesla factory, automated and fast, to an old car shop that builds one vehicle by hand. Port Alpha was designed to mass-produce robot warships at startup speed. But the big question remained. Did Saronic actually have a real facility, or was it all just talk? The answer came in April 2025. In April 2025, Saronic Technologies made a move that stunned the defense world. They bought the entire Gulfcraft shipyard in Franklin, Louisiana for more than $250 million. This wasn't a lease or a joint project. It was a full takeover. Overnight, Saronic gained a massive shipbuilding facility sitting right near the Gulf of Mexico. By August 2025, workers there were already laying the first keel for the Marauder, a 150-foot-long autonomous warship, built to operate for 30 days without a single sailor. The deal created over 500 new jobs, marking a real revival of shipbuilding on the Gulf Coast. But for a completely new kind of fleet. For local workers, it meant hope and opportunity. For the Navy, it meant a new era of speed and automation. Saronic's plan was clear. Have the first warships ready by 2026 and begin full-scale production soon after. It's like Amazon buying a warehouse and filling it with robots. Focusing on speed, scale, and efficiency instead of tradition. And Franklin, Louisiana was the perfect place. Close to the coast, ideal for testing and launching autonomous ships straight into open waters. Now, Saronic had the yard, the money, and the designs. But were they the only ones chasing this idea? Because the Pentagon had its own program, and it was even more ambitious. While Saronic Technologies was building smaller autonomous ships, DAARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, was working on something even bigger. They called it NOMARS, short for No Manning Required Ship. The goal was simple but revolutionary. Build warships with zero crew, designed from the ground up to operate without humans. The first result was the USX-1 Defiant, a 180-foot autonomous vessel that could sail for up to 1 full year without anyone on board. It even proved it could refuel at sea, a key step toward long missions that never need a port. This wasn't just automation. It was a complete redesign of how ships are built. No cabins, no life support, no crew quarters. Just sensors, weapons, and AI systems. Think of it like comparing a manned space station to a satellite. One needs people to live inside, the other just does its job. The USX-1 Defiant could carry weapons, supplies, and surveillance gear. A self-sufficient ghost ship built for endless patrols. Now the US had two parallel efforts. Port Alpha, building swarms of small autonomous ships, and NOMARS, creating large AI warships. But why the sudden urgency? The answer was simple: China. China's naval expansion isn't random. It's a long-term plan to control the Pacific by 2030. Beijing is using state-subsidized shipyards, dual-use factories, and mass production to outbuild everyone. They can make ships faster, cheaper, and in greater numbers than the United States. Traditional logic says America can't win this race. But autonomous warships change everything. Unmanned vessels cost a fraction of crewed ones and can be built in weeks, not years. Port Alpha and NOMARS represent America's new strategy. Use technology, not manpower, to match China's numbers. If Saronic builds 50 ships a year, the US can finally close the gap. It's like fighting 1,000 soldiers with 1,000 robots. You don't need people, just factories. And these robot ships can fight where human lives are too risky to send. So Port Alpha might be America's secret weapon against China's shipyards. But does it actually work in battle? That answer could rewrite the future of warfare. Port Alpha has changed what naval warfare means. It's no longer about who has more ships. It's about who has smarter systems. These new autonomous vessels can swarm targets, coordinate attacks, and sail through zones too dangerous for humans. During recent tests, Saronic's Cutlass deployed loitering munitions, real proof that the system works in combat. The cost gap is massive. You can build 10 autonomous warships for the price of 1 crewed destroyer. That flips the entire fleet equation. If Port Alpha succeeds, China's 400-ship navy becomes outdated overnight. America is now betting its Pacific strategy on AI-driven warfare, a high-risk, high-reward gamble. These ships can even swap missions in hours, thanks to modular container payloads. It's like playing chess while your opponent uses AI. The rules have changed forever. But can autonomous warships truly replace human sailors? And is America ready for the consequences of that choice? Port Alpha isn't just about robot warships. It's about survival. China wins if war is about numbers. But if it's about automation, America finally has a chance. Traditional admirals fear this shift. It threatens naval culture built over centuries. But in 2030, China will have 425 ships. Without Port Alpha, the US will have 300. With it, over 500, most unmanned, all lethal. This isn't replacing sailors, it's multiplying them. One destroyer captain now commands 10 autonomous vessels. The lesson is simple. The side that adapts faster wins. Port Alpha made numbers irrelevant, and now China doesn't know how to respond. Autonomous warfare isn't the future. It's already here. From a Navy SEAL's garage in 2022 to a $4 billion shipyard in 2025, Port Alpha marks America's boldest move in modern naval warfare. You just discovered how the US plans to beat China, not with more ships, but with smarter, unmanned fleets built through AI and automation. If this story changed how you see warfare, hit subscribe. We reveal what others don't. Now tell us, should the Navy trust machines over men?